5G is the fifth generation of wireless technologies that have resulted in the evolution of mobile devices from unwieldy radio telephones to sophisticated tiny smartphones and tablets. Once fully in place, 5G will be a significant leap in speed and capacity, eventually enabling the long-foretold Internet of Things. Driverless cars will be possible because they need to communicate wirelessly with each other in real time to avoid accidents. Trucks and other heavy equipment, possibly even massive infrastructure like electricity grids, and their operators can be miles apart. We will all send ever more sensitive and confidential data across the 5G network. Because our safety, our privacy, and our prosperity will depend on the security and reliability of 5G, who supplies the network equipment is a real national security concern. Malign actors with clandestine access to the system can pose both passive and active dangers. Passive actions include things like data theft. Active ones include interfering with the networks and devices reliant on 5G for their operation. Chinese telecom giant Huawei is among a handful of suppliers worldwide that are able to provide the backbone equipment for 5G networks. And here is where the dangers reside. A supplier could, for example, use the system's inherent complexities to obscure features causing data passing through the system to be copied and sent on to a distant location for analysis. This could compromise commercial or military secrets. Hidden backdoors might allow networks and devices that underpin stock markets, heavy equipment, electricity grids, and more to be seized by nefarious actors. Precisely because of 5G's complexity, no one can certify backbone equipment as safe, especially since changes might be introduced later by repairs and software upgrades, or gradually through those hard-to-discover backdoors. That makes the trustworthiness of suppliers paramount. By now, Canadians are painfully aware that China is a rising power and, under the Chinese Communist Party, is a strategic rival to the West. Where 5G is concerned, everything hangs on whether we should regard Huawei as a Trojan horse for the interests of a regime in Beijing that is seeking geostrategic advantage. Here's what we know. Huawei, whose ownership is opaque, maintains close and cooperative relations with the People's Liberation Army, which Huawei has gone to some lengths to obscure. Huawei's impressive growth is largely due to Beijing's policy of promoting national champions in strategic sectors. Let's not forget that Beijing kidnapped 2 of our citizens and threw up barriers to our exports, all because we had the temerity to arrest a single Huawei executive in accordance with Canadian law. There is no arm's-length relationship between Huawei and Beijing. Huawei has been accused by various national security agencies of being intimately involved in intellectual property theft. The company's equipment has been credibly implicated in passive data theft operations. Finally, Chinese law compels companies like Huawei to assist with state intelligence work and to maintain Communist Party cells in their management structure. There is every reason to regard Huawei as an agent of the Chinese government. Additionally, the quality of Huawei's engineering is poor, introducing further, possibly unintended vulnerabilities that could be exploited by Russia, Iran, North Korea, and others. Ottawa already forbids Huawei equipment from federal government telecoms networks for exactly these security reasons. Having banned Huawei from 5G on security grounds, Washington is unlikely to appreciate a Canadian backdoor. And this means that the integration of the Canadian and the American 5G networks might well be compromised, as might our invaluable national security intelligence sharing through the Five Eyes network. Canada must engage China, but must energetically defend our vital interests and foundational values while doing so. Vigilance is compatible with further engagement. Australia and New Zealand, which have free trade agreements with Beijing, have both banned Huawei from their 5G networks. The future lies with 5G. Therefore, we must thoughtfully manage the associated vulnerabilities. Both Huawei's behaviour and that of its Communist Party overlords is such that Canada should follow the US, Australia, and New Zealand and forbid Huawei's involvement in 5G in Canada. Get this wrong, and the bitterness of compromised safety will remain long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. I'm Brian Lee Crowley for the Macdonald-Laurier Institute.